Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with NETGEAR. Today's host is Jordan Cooper, and he is their Territory Account Manager for California and Texas, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Jordan will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Jordan, thank you so much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate it. I'm finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for taking the time today to learn about NETGEAR. Like you said, my name is Jordan Cooper. I'm an account manager for California and Texas, to which Microcom is my partner. If you've had the pleasure of joining one of my presentations before, it'll be some similar content in this presentation about our wireless portfolio. Right off the bat, I want to say that even though I'm in sales, I'm working to become an engineer. So what this means is I'm pretty technical. I think of myself as pretty technical, but I know just enough to be dangerous and break some things, but I may not have all the technical answers. So just kind of think of that and when that comes to mind when it comes time to asking your questions, but I'll try my best. So here's kind of the little agenda that we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be going over some company facts about NETGEAR, what makes NETGEAR different. I'm going to dive right into it by talking about the Wi-Fi 6 needs of today's market. Then we'll talk about NETGEAR's essentials versus our Pro Wi-Fi line, followed by some side-by-side comparison, and then some great things of the support, that how NETGEAR is supporting our Wi-Fi business, both as you for the installers and integrators, as well as for your end users. So let's kind of get right into it. So as I go through this presentation, you'll see I'm not going to necessarily go slide by slide, line by line. I'm not going to read everything on the slide. I definitely believe in death by PowerPoint can happen. So I'm just going to kind of run things and highlight some of the things, the important things. Basically, this slide is just a good overview that we're a little over a billion-dollar company with a little over 1,000 employees. And this is always good to point out. I like to point this out because it means we run very lean, but yet we're very agile and we make a big impact on the market. NETGEAR is, of course, also traded on the NASDAQ on the stock market. Now, when it comes time to NETGEAR, anytime NETGEAR releases a product or has a product, there's three differences that NETGEAR always wants to be, in a way that we can stand out in the market, if you will. We want to make sure that we are reliable, affordable, and easy to use. The reliability side, we want to make sure that we have a great warranty. Some of our lower end products have a 5-year warranty, but most of our products will have a limited lifetime warranty with the next business day replacement. And we want to be affordable. You know, we all know that the enterprise companies out there, without naming names, can cost an arm and a leg, and not just as a one-time purchase, but maybe over the course of 5 years after renewing licenses and paying for additional things. Affordability can go right out the window. And then we also want to be easy to use. You know, we don't want to require you guys to take a course or take a training to learn how to use our stuff. We want most of our stuff to be just plug and play. And if you do have any configuration, very simple and easy to do it. And one thing that we kind of notice is a lot of our competitors have a couple of these, but very few have all of them. And that's always NETGEAR's goal, is to make sure that we have all of these on all the products that we produce. So getting into the NETGEAR wireless, a lot of people know NETGEAR for the wireless side of home routers. You know, 70% approximately is of the entire world is NETGEAR. NETGEAR has a router in 70% of the entire world's home. So this just means, you know, the wireless name is big to everybody. What is growing very, very rapidly and gaining a lot of popularity is our wireless portfolio. You know, it's been around for some time, but I think more and more people are now, because of the pandemic, have turned to other solutions and it's kind of got out of what they thought they knew and going to explore other options. And NETGEAR has just been really, really taken off during this pandemic because of those three things that we talked about previously. So Wi-Fi, let's talk about Wi-Fi 6 and the needs for a second here. technology is growing just so rapidly. I look at every year when new phones come out, new computers come out, and the newest stuff that they have. And gosh, we're knocking on the door to some newer Wi-Fi technology. I think Wi-Fi 7 is coming up here soon. It seems like technology is expanding, and with technology is expanding is the demand. The reason why is because the demand for Wi-Fi is growing. I read an article not too long ago that said, 15 years ago, the average IoT devices in a home was somewhere sub 10. Nowadays, you're looking at 30 to 40 devices on average per household. And this makes sense when you think of all the, Ring doorbells and Google or Alexas and, maybe security cameras and, even my crock pot has Wi-Fi. And so many things are getting on our internet and using our Wi-Fi. And not is it just more the demand of the amount of devices are increasing, but the devices are also high drawing devices. I mean, most of my TVs now are 4K. 4K's cost of TVs have dropped quite a lot. You could go to Walmart and buy a great 4K 60-inch TV for $300-400. So these devices, if you're having one in just about every room, are high drawing devices, and this just means it needs faster Wi-Fi to keep up with those demands. So in today's market, putting any type of wireless in, if you're a company who's putting in wireless, Wi-Fi 6 and even 6E are kind of a requirement now. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he said that he is doing a refresh on his network, and he says they wanted to push it about every 7 to 8 years. And I said, that's pushing it. And he was like, yeah, we try to make it last as long as we can. And then he asked me a really funny question. He said, do you have any AC stuff? Any, I don't need the Wi-Fi 6 stuff. I need the Wi-Fi 5 or AC. And I said, well, let's pull this onion back here. You want your Wi-Fi to last, longer than your typical time frame, 7 to 8 years, and you're wanting to put in a technology that's already 2, 3, 4 years old. And I said that if you're wanting to get your network to run as long as possible, you shouldn't find the cheapest alternative. You should find the costliest solution, because it's a trade-off, right? And so after a lot of back and forth, he finally kind of realized that, yeah, it might be best to put in Wi-Fi 6E, even though his demand, and even though he agreed that, hey, yeah, my devices are not even on 6 right now. I said, yeah, but in 3, 4 years, when you go buy new laptops for the company, or when the company upgrades cameras or whatever it is, like you will eventually need more, and you can't just keep running on this limping on old technology. Your network's just probably just barely limping along. So, this is just another example of why 6 and 6E are a must in today's market. And NETGEAR obviously is a leading brand when it comes time to Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. We're doing things differently than what everybody else is. So why Wi-Fi 6? First off, all of our access points are Wi-Fi 6 minimal, and all of the Wi-Fi 6 access points have a minimum of a 2.5 gig LAN port. This is very important because if you're going to be hardwiring an access point, you don't want that to be the bottleneck. What good is Wi-Fi 6 if you're on 1 gig port? Security, we have some of the latest and greatest WPA3 security installed on all of our devices. All of our access points have an option to have Insight enabled, which is a remote cloud management software. If you don't know about Insight, take a look at Microcom's website and take a look at YouTube and look up NETGEAR's Insight. It's some great tools, some fantastic, really changing things, industry changing things there as well for the remote management. Again, that leading warranty, fantastic. We have the proven technology that we know exists, as is proven by why we are, such a heavy deal in people's homes. And then also we do have some very high end, what we would classify, and what a lot of people would classify, say, wow, this goes hand in hand with some of the enterprise companies. This is a good comparable item to some of the enterprise stuff, but they have maybe a smaller budget. The best saying is, you have a lot of these companies, as we all know, want wine on a beer budget. And it's just, it is what that is. And that's where NETGEAR fits really, really perfectly for that. Another thing that I want to mention that isn't on here is there are some things that we're doing differently, such as putting Wi-Fi 6 on both or all the bands. This is something that is very easily shown when you going into the data sheets of everybody else. I would suggest if you're going to look at a Wi-Fi 6 access point with any manufacturer, go into the data sheet and look at if it's both on the 2.4 and the 5. Because odds are, most in my experience, most are not. Most are just on the 5. In fact, a couple months ago, I switched over my internet provider. I went to AT&T Fiber. They finally came to my area. They offered speeds up to 5 gig. Woo, that was exciting. And so I decided to pace myself and get 2 gig. And so they provided their own router, and I of course have the Orbi at my house, and I absolutely love it. It's the Wi-Fi 6, and I wanted to keep that. And he said, no, our router's way better. You know, the technician was like, our router's way better. It can keep up. It's fantastic. It's better than anything on the market. And I went into the data to really go into the admin portal and see. And the 2.4 gigahertz network was still on N, was still on wireless N, which was before AC, which I was just like, whoa, like, yeah, sure, will devices work? Sure, but your Wi-Fi 6 speed is really on the 5. And although 2.4 may not see a speed difference, I have a lot of 2.4 gig devices that have to be on that network. You know, a lot of my cameras and Google Homes and so many of my smaller end devices, I have a lot of those. And I have somewhere about 80 devices, smart devices plugged into my home, and a big plethora of those are smart little IoT devices like my pressure cooker, my Instapot. Those connect to my 2.4. So I have a lot of traffic on my 2.4, and so that would definitely hinder me. And so it's just something that to take a look at, that I am proud to say with NETGEAR that we have it on all the bands, something that not everybody can say. All right, so let's talk about some of the 2 different lines of our Wi-Fi that we have on the access points, right? And this, when we talk about Wi-Fi, we're specifically talking about our access points. We do have another Wi-Fi side called our Orbi and our Orbi Pro. I've done another presentation on that as well. If you want to go take a look at that, that's awesome. But for the access points, we have 2 essential lines. We have the Essentials and we have the Pro Wi-Fi. The Essentials we'll talk about here are really good for single deployment, right? You just need one. The things of maybe like a small little dentist office or you know, accounting office, or I even think I went to my CPA as I'm preparing for tax season, obviously, and I went there and I saw he had one of our little access points sitting right up there that was working fantastic, and locally managed. Then we have our Pro Wi-Fi. These are for bigger deployments, right? This is where the mesh comes in, the seamless roaming. So obviously the multi-device deployment. And this also comes with the Insight manageable, the cloud managed software. Again, that Insight is 100% optional. It is not required. If you get this Pro Wi-Fi line, it does not need to be managed via Insight. It also has the option to be managed locally, which not very many, you know, there are some competitors out there who are one or the other. You have to pick either local managed or web managed, and you have to kind of pick your poison there and hope you made the right choice, but not with ours. If you decide you want to manage it locally for the first 6 months or a year or 2 years, and you decide, hey, you know what, down the road I want to go do this remotely, great. And vice versa, if you're doing a remote manage and, you know, a year in, you're just like, hey, I really haven't changed it, you know, although the cost is minimal, it's not really needed, it's just a set and forget it type thing, then go to locally managed. Absolutely no problem at any time. So let's take a look. So in the Essentials line, we have a few. This might be a little bit outdated as we've got a couple more that have been introduced since then, but these are kind of the bulk of them. So we have the 202, the 214, and the 220. How you can tell if it's going to be an essential access point is going to start with WAX2. So WAX obviously is a wire, Wi-Fi 6 AX, and then 2 is the series. So 2 is obviously the Essentials line. And they're great. As you can see, the 214, this was at my CPA's. He still had max number of users, 128, nowhere near. He had like 4 people in that office. And so it was definitely even more than what he needed. Worked fantastic. This is a very similar one. It's just in a different form factor, obviously. If people don't want to put it up on a ceiling or something, they kind of want to put it on a shelf. They absolutely can use this one as well. And then you have this bigger brother too here, if this is what you need. But again, great devices, fast devices, single deployment devices, they do amazing. Let's talk about our Pro Wi-Fi access points. So the Pro series is where NETGEAR is really starting to explode on. We've come out with a lot over the past year. Just this last year, we've come out with a lot of these, and just growing. So we have our WAC 610Y. Some of you may have known this or seen this. This has been around for a couple of years. I know we've been doing Wi-Fi 6 since 2020, I believe, is when we really started getting into Wi-Fi 6. Starting out with like the WAC 610 and 610Y. So we came out with kind of these. Great outdoor access point. Again, there's your 2.5 gig backhaul right there for the wire. It is a 2x2. Then you're going to get into the 610, a 615, and 620. Again, I mean, what it really boils down to is going to be the theoretical throughput, and you will also see, maybe is it a 4x4? More devices can be connected to it as the higher we go. And then, the WAC 630 and then the newest Wi-Fi 6E, the WAX 630E. So hopefully everyone here is somewhat aware of Wi-Fi 6E and what it entails, but if it doesn't, I'll talk just a quick second on it. Wi-Fi 6E is a new and upcoming technology that introduces a third band. So most of us are familiar with seeing when we go onto our internet, you'll see a 2.4 and you'll see a 5. Well, now Wi-Fi 6E is going to have a 2.4, 5, and a 6. The 6 band is another band that can be utilized for any devices that can see it and join it. And just, again, opens up, has more lanes for traffic, can connect more devices. It's like adding another freeway onto a road on a congested highway. So super awesome right there. Super fast. I just still can't believe we're at theoretical aggregate throughput 7.8 gigs. I mean, when you kind of break that down on what it breaks down to, it's super quick. One thing I wanted to also kind of specify too here, a question got asked of, hey, this is a tri-band 4x4x4. This is a 2x4x2. What gives? One of the big reasons that we've seen right here is the WAC 630, because of how powerful, I mean, it's just a super incredible, powerful device. And because it's so big and powerful, it requires PoE++, or some of it known as ultra PoE. It takes like 31 watts of PoE power. And so in order to get that switch, you do have to get a PoE++ switch, which is also growing in the market, but it also can accrue a lot more costs. So we came out with this as the first introductory access point. We came out with this Wi-Fi 6E. This one does not. It requires, I think, like 28 watts of PoE power, which falls under PoE+. So that was kind of one thing where you could still get a big upgrade, but you don't need a PoE++ switch. So big benefit there if you wanted to keep your switching infrastructure, but you just wanted to get some existing Wi-Fi 6E in there. Fantastic alternative. So one thing that we love to do here at NETGEAR is we love to look at the data and let it speak for itself. And we want to see, obviously how we compare. We do a lot of comparisons to a lot of the competitors out there. Some of our competitors do things a little bit better than us, and some things we do better than them. And so what we love to do is we love to do these little side-by-side comparables, compare kind of apples to apples, so you can kind of see, what's better and what's not. For example, these Unify, everyone knows Unify, of course, and they have a great, fantastic price point, but they also come at, because of that price point, they hold back on a few stuff. We all know the sport, but they hold back on a few other stuff. So here's just a kind of side-by-side comparison. There are some things that they do a little bit better than us, which we'll show kind of here next, but I'm not going to go through everything one of these, but let it kind of record show for yourself that, hey, yep, we can see the differences between these on a side-by-side comparable. Again, here's a little bit more, some other side-by-side comparisons. And again, we're not going to definitely go through it, but here's an example, one that, oh, you have connected users. This one does have a little bit more. The throughput is a little bit more than ours. So we don't always 100% win 100% of the time, but we do a lot. So, okay. So some things of why to go with the Pro, as we kind of get close to wrapping this up. Anybody who's looking to install Wi-Fi should be, as a mesh Wi-Fi, should be definitely looking at our Pro line. we're definitely reliable. We're one of those things that are set it and forget it. I think a picture, I wish I had this, I looked for this picture all over the place, but there's a picture out there that shows a NETGEAR switch and an access point just completely covered in dust, and is still running just fine. So definitely reliable and very secure with that WPA3 security. We have great reporting tools for those people who are like the MSPs who want to show what they're doing and what's going on the network. Great control without having to get too complicated. Real-time updates. And one of the really couple more important things is probably the multi-tenancy. I think that's something that we all love, being able to have different logins and multiple locations with multiple logins with different admin and users. All that stuff is built in, and it's at a great price. I tell a lot of my partners when they look at NETGEAR, I said, hey, if you want to still continue to quote, it's absolutely recommended to continue to quote multiple sources. It's kind of like why Ford and Toyota and Honda, all these dealerships, that you can go and you can take your car that maybe not of that dealership, and they'll take that trade. Why? Because that just drives and brings in business. So if you're a one-stop shop right now and you're just offering maybe a single, maybe it's because what you know and love, definitely take a look and see how much business you are turning away or how much business you're losing because of that one solution. And it's definitely increases your chances when you can offer 2 or 3 different solutions and let the customer decide. I like to think of NETGEAR as kind of like Goldilocks zone. You have your good, better, and best solution. And NETGEAR, I feel, fits perfectly in for that better solution. Always the enterprise grade with all the features and all the bells and whistles and everything that you can think of. No, there are things that we don't do and we don't want to do because that just drives up costs, and we feel it's unnecessary for this multi-medium business to have some of those things. And then also, we don't want to be just a decent solution. We don't want to be the lowest price out there, because the lowest price sacrifices a lot of it. And a lot of your customers will understand this when you tell them these things. And 9 out of 10 times they usually will say, hey, you know what, I don't want the top line because that's overpaying. I don't want the lowest of the line because that's underpaying. I don't want to rely on something that's so cheap. So I want a good medium solution, and boom, that's where NETGEAR is. And if you don't want to buy it right out of the gate, you want to give it some testing first, absolutely. Let Microcom know, and we can absolutely do evaluation program for you, send you some demo units, and get you to test it, get you to put your stamp of approval on it. We absolutely would love to have that first before you go in and start throwing it out there. So another thing that when it comes time to support for NETGEAR, we do have, and I would, if you're at a computer, take a screenshot of this or write this down. If you need help with choosing a Wi-Fi strategy, you can come directly to the source and go to the Pro Wi-Fi Design team at netgear.com. Just Pro Wi-Fi Design at netgear.com. Goes to our design team, and yeah, these guys do some fantastic and amazing things. These are going to some actual great engineers. It's not just going to like a tier 1 support. These are going to actually engineers who can help you find a solution for the Wi-Fi. You can have those kind of calls and narrow down out of all those access points that we have, which one would be the best fitting. And we also can do things like heat maps, right? Reach out to maybe your Microcom rep if you are going to be doing a deployment. We only need just a few things when it comes time to doing a heat map. We need a blueprint to scale. So when I say to scale, because don't draw it on a napkin, we don't need to know what it looks like. We need to actually know the measurements of things. The software that we use takes the numbers that we provide and puts that into give an idea of what you need. And we'll tell you what the BOM, what build of materials that you need, including access points, switches, routers, what you might need. And I would say that we always want to make sure that there's as much green as possible and as little dead zone as possible. So we always will make sure that the whole thing is covered in just nothing but green. So anyway, that about sums it up for my presentation. Julia, maybe hopefully some questions kind of came in that we can start opening it up to.
Thank you very much, Jordan, for that wonderful presentation. And yes, I've got some questions for you. Please bear with me while I get through this. Okay, first question. Regarding NETGEAR's next day replacement, would this be for a faulty product or an accidental accidentally damaged product, or either one?
Yeah, great question. So if you have our pro support, our pro support usually should cover just about anytime the device is dead, whether that be accidental or if that's just maybe it died, you can do next business day replacement on either options. If you don't have pro support, I think they do give you the option, but I think you have to prepay for the next device to be shipped out. And I think that really only classifies as, hey, that's only for if the device is found to be actually dead, and not, hey, I threw it in my pool. But yeah, great question.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Next question is regarding all of the different products that one might have on their internet. If you were to consider having, cell phones, smartwatches, tablets, laptops, smart TVs, smart cars, game systems, etc., per household, who knows? Maybe it'll be in the hundreds in the coming months. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I guess it depends on how much your love of technology is. If you're like my mother, she doesn't even want a Nest thermostat in her house, even though I tell her, hey, Mom, it's going to make your life really a lot easier. But absolutely, you're in a boat that I am too. I mean, both my wife and I, we have smartwatches. We have our cell phones. We both have laptops. I have my work laptop. I have tons of devices. That's why I say I'm pushing in. I'm knocking on the door of 80 devices right now. I think I have like 82 devices per my Orbi. And so, yeah, it is absolutely a demand. And who knows what the next thing is going to be coming out. I mean, I don't even have everything that's smart, right? I mean, they have smart dishwashers, and they have washer and dryers that are smart, and they have smart fridges, and there's some things that I don't have. So it's 100% impossible or possible to have, somewhere upwards of 100 devices, especially when you're introducing now more kids. And I have 2 kids, but right now they're younger. I got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. But when my kids, if you end up having 2, 3, 4 kids, and they all end up being teenagers who have smartwatches, cell phones, and laptops themselves, yeah, absolutely, it will. The amount will definitely increase, which just is a proven reason to, be adopting these new technologies. If you have kids who are getting about in that age and are being introduced to phones and these smart devices. Or if you're moving into a house that's going to have, definitely put in and future-proof, put some Wi-Fi 6, probably even Wi-Fi 6E, pay a little bit more, and that way it'll last you much longer in the long run, and you'll be much more happier with it.
Thank you for that, Jordan. Can you tell us what is the range for the wireless capability of these devices?
Sorry, Julia. So can I repeat? I'm sorry to make you repeat it one more time for me. Can I?
Of course, no problem. What are the range or the wireless capability of these devices?
Yeah, another great question. So I love to tell about our range. So our range is simply put is about 3,000 square feet for each of the access points. I love to say that because it's a range that we've given, that we've actually put into use and have utilized. That 3,000 square feet comes in a standard office with your sheetrock walls, your wood doors, and some glass windows and things like that, different floors. That's a real good number. This isn't like a car where we're like, oh, this car gets like 40 miles to the gallon. Yeah, downhill with the wind pushing you down and in neutral. This is a real scenario. And of course, if it's in like an open warehouse, you can actually get a lot more. If you're putting it in like a basement or anywhere that has a lot of brick, stone, metal, concrete, of course, you're going to see a lot less. But as a good rule of thumb, 3,000 square feet in a standard office is the coverage on per device or per access point. They're all about that same, no matter if you get the 610 or go even up to the 630, they'll all do right now about 3,000 square feet.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Next question here. Is the multi-gig routers and switches managed or unmanaged devices?
Yeah, so on our switches, we have a plethora of switches, and that fit either one of those. You can have a multi-gig unmanaged, a multi-gig smart managed, a multi-gig fully managed switch if you wanted. Right now on our routers, we are about to be releasing here, hopefully soon, another router that's going to become to be. This is going to be fantastic multi-gig router with multi-WAN capabilities, with remote management. And so that hopefully is coming this year. And so the routers that we do have right now are going to be in our Orbi line right now, our Orbi Pro, which is our business class Orbis, and they do not have multi-gig right now on them. But we are producing that. But on the switch side, for sure, on the router side, it's coming, but we will, yes.
Thank you, Jordan. Next question. Regarding 24/7 support, does this include phone and chat support as well?
Yeah, another great question. Yeah, so when it comes time to support, let's talk about it. We have two types of support, right? We talk about, we have hardware support, right? The hardware support is, you can have it at any time. It is limited though via chat or an RMA to get the RMA going. You can't call. If you do have pro support, that is like the technical side of the support. They can kind of take care of anything, including any hardware issues. But that is 24/7 support for any issue that you might have. And you can reach out to them via the chat. You can reach out to them via phone call, and then also be emailing. They'll email you updates with what's going on and all that good stuff. So the level that you get is just a much greater when it comes time to support-wise. I'd strongly recommend anybody to look at getting pro support.
Jordan, thank you so much for answering those questions for us today. Also, thank you to everyone for attending our webinar with NETGEAR. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products shown and mentioned today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Jordan, thank you so much for all of this valuable information today. We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.